Now, if you don't know already, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet will be arriving on the 18th of November, which is pretty much 2 weeks from now. Now, if you don't know already, this is going to be a massive, massive franchise changer where the games are going to be open world and involving a lot more multiplayer aspects. And we're going to go and talk about everything we currently know about Scarlet and Violet. But before we get into that, we've got a word from today's sponsor. HelloFresh is an awesome meal kit service that gives you fresh, pre-proportioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Being as busy as I am, this makes meal times for the wife and kids so much easier, and they have a huge selection of recipes on hand for you to pick from and have in no time flat. That's why they're America's #1 meal kit. Each week you can choose between 50 recipes, including a rotating selection of items at HelloFresh Market. This gives you a lot of choice no matter the diet or occasion. HelloFresh offers so much choice you'll never get bored and keep coming back for more. On top of that, with HelloFresh you won't be wasting money on food you won't use due to the pre-proportioned ingredients, and these are just right for the recipes that you've ordered. HelloFresh is also the first carbon neutral meal kit, and almost all of the packaging used is recyclable, meaning you won't only be helping to cut down on food waste, you'll be helping the environment as well. So if you're interested in great meals, try HelloFresh. By clicking the link below, you'll get 70% off your order plus free shipping, and not only will you get some great food, you'll also help support the channel. Now, with any Pokemon game, you have the two main legendaries displayed on the boxes. For Scarlet, you have Corradion and Miraidon on Violet. Now, depending on what one you want to go for, you have either the past or the future. I'm personally picking Violet, so that's the game that I'm going to be going with. That's the first choice you really need to make when you're entering the Pokemon world. The next thing we have is the free starter Pokemon. We have the Grass Spigaratito, the Fire Fuecoco, and the Water Quaxley. Now, out of the three of these Pokemon, I think they all look awesome. I especially love the quiff on the duck's head. It looks absolutely cool. But going with almost every Pokemon game, I'm probably going to pick the grass one. I don't know what it is, but I've always picked grass starters even from Gen 1. So, Grass Cat is going to be my choice. What's your choice down below? Now, with this new generation, we are also getting a slew of new Pokemon. Among them is things like Lechonk, which, quite frankly, is one of the best names of all Pokemon at all. I don't even know if I'm going to nickname the damn thing. Then you've got things like Armarouge, Celerouge, two Pokemon that obviously will be on different games, but have different formats, but are fairly similar in terms of look and how they work. So it'll be interesting to see which one of these comes out on top. Then you've got forms of other Pokemon, and you've got an evolution for Girafarig, a Pokemon that's been about since Gen 2, and I'm really looking forward to it because I actually really like Girafarig. We've also got Wiglet, which apparently is a brand new Pokemon, but it looks like a Diglett that wiggles. So, a lot of fun things coming with this game. Another big thing about this game is the customization options. Now, if the videos that we've seen are to be believed, there's a lot of customization possibilities and things where you can essentially be almost unique in terms of any other character in the world, because if everything's the way we think it is, there are millions of combinations. And that just excites me because customization is a thing that I really, really, really thought was something that was lacking from Pokemon games. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think you're going to be able to do adult customizations, which kind of disappoints me a little bit, putting a big old beard on a character and being a more mature character in a Pokemon game. But it's a step in the right direction for certain. Now, Scarlet and Violet is breaking the mold in terms of the way that the story is formatted in Pokemon. If you've played the game since their inception, you know that you start off at your main town, you collect gym badges, defeat the team, Rocket, Galactic, Magma, and then once you've done that, you defeat the Pokemon League and become the Pokemon League champion. This game's taking that to a new level, and it's divided the story up into 3 segments, which can be encountered completely individually, which gives you a lot more freedom in this game. So the first one is Victory Road. That's going to be your standard defeat the gyms, defeat the Pokemon League. Then we have our Path of Legends, where you take on Titan Pokemon to collect ingredients to create different things, and you just go through the game in like a series of boss battles, which should be interesting. And then the last one is Starfall Street, where you take on your team enemies. In this case, it's going to be Team Star. Now, the thing about this is it isn't forcing you to keep on doing the Team Star stuff or keep on doing the gym badge stuff. You can freely explore the world. This also adds an element of, can you freely explore and take on gyms in your own order? This turns this whole thing on its head. You're no longer going to be blocked by that goddamn tree. I hate that tree. Either way, I'm very interested to see how it's going to work out and if it's going to be an interesting concept, in theory or in practice. Since we spoke about the gym leaders a little bit, let's talk about the gym leaders we know some details about. There's 3 of them. The first is Grusha, the ice-type head of the Glisado gym, and they are a snowboarder who uses the Pokemon Cetitan, or as I like to call it, Satan. It is a freaky, chonky whale, and I'm looking forward to using this Pokemon in my playthrough. Next, we have Brassius, the head of the Artisan Gym, and is a Grass-type trainer. They apparently use a Sunflora, which should be interesting, since I've not seen Sunflora in a very long time at this point. And the last gym leader is Iono, a social media streamer-type personality. Really hits home. They look absolutely off their nut, and they're using Magnemites of Heraclips. They also have the Pokemon Bellibolt, who is a terrifying little chunky boy. So it'll be interesting to see how this set of gym leaders works out. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of them and beating them up. And then we have our Pokemon rivals, Team Star, who are done in the kind of Japanese trope of a school gang. And the cool thing about it is we've got one head of Team Star at the moment. They're called Mela. They're the head of the Shida squad, and they're part of the fire crew. Now, this implies that there's going to be different crews with different elements, and hopefully a bigger group and a bigger part in a story as a whole. The thing about these individual story aspects is I'm hoping that they are a much bigger and content heavy part of the game than they ever were. Because the thing about the Pokemon storyline is that because the linear nature of the game was bound to go from point A to point B, defeat this, get access to this, to get through this wall, to get through this cave, to do this kind of thing. If the game is more free roam and open world, then there's no rush to complete the story. And if the story is a bigger, more expansive experience as a whole, because you don't need to rush through it, I'm very much looking forward to these new aspects. I'm so excited. I've been excited for this game. I've not said anything about it because, you know, this isn't a Pokemon channel, but I'm going to be throwing my ass into these games for the next little while once they come out. Now, a new feature is going to be the picnic function, which is similar to the camping function in the Sword and Shield generation. However, it has some caveats. Now, you're going to be able to do picnics, make curry as you would in the previous game, and you're going to be able to restore HP, improve stats, and there's a chance that your Pokemon will show up with an egg. Now, I'm not entirely certain if this is replacing the breeding center mechanic in Pokemon games. If it is, that's an interesting factor, and it should be interesting to see, but we'll kind of cross that bridge when it comes to it. I'm not seeing any information saying it is replacing it, but there is always that possibility, and it's a new way to get Pokemon eggs at the very least. So we're going to talk about battles now. It's one of the biggest parts of any Pokemon game and one of the most important. And one of the things that you'll know from most Pokemon games is when you take part in a Pokemon battle, you're wandering around, somebody catches your eye, and they run over and ambush you. It was unavoidable in most games. However, that is changing for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You now have to interact with trainers, and essentially you challenge them to battles. This is a massive change, and quite frankly, it gives you so much more freedom. One of the most stressful things in a Pokemon game is when your Pokemon are nearly dead and somebody's in your way. Going back takes too long, and you're like, Pokemon Center is just there. This time, it's in your court, and that I find is very interesting. Now, a returning feature that we've got to the game is the Battle Stadium from Sword and Shield. It is updated and it will have some additional features, but this allows you to enter competitions, enter friendly battles, or competitive battles and get ranked battles as well. There's so many factors with that, and it made battling so easy and so fluid to get into. I'm very happy to see it returning, and I think a lot of people will be in the same boat as me when it comes to that. Now, if you've played Pokemon games since at very least X and Y, you'll know that the battle gimmicks have came into the game and changed with almost every generation. With X and Y, we got Mega Evolutions, a fan favourite for a lot of people, and more recently we got Dynamax. Well, in this version of the game, we are getting Terra-style Pokemon. Now, these Pokemon are interesting in a way because what they actually do is they change the type of the Pokemon. So not every Pokemon you come up against is going to be the same type as you would expect. And this is very, very interesting because it's going to change battles quite significantly. When you do competitive battles, you see what each person has in their team as a whole. And you kind of make judgments based on that's a normal type, that's a dark type, that's a dragon. But what if you come up against a dragon that isn't a dragon? What if you come up against a normal type that's a ghost type? There's these things that change your counters and the things that you can go up against. And this is the cool thing about it, is during a battle, you can terrestrialize your Pokemon. So if the enemy is going to hit you with a super effective move that will completely destroy your Pokemon, you could change its type and change the turn of the battle almost instantly. And this is going to be an interesting thing that we see. I'm really looking forward to the Terra Pokemon because it is a very cool mechanic. And don't get me wrong, it's probably not going to go into the next games, but it'll be interesting to see how it works in this one. So another returning feature is the max raid battle thing, but in the form of Terra raid battles, where you'll take on the Terra Pokemon and basically catch them at the end of it. It has a couple of quality of life changes where you're going to be able to input your commands whenever you want instead of having to wait like half an hour to do anything. So there is some quality of life changes with this. It should be relatively interesting, and if it's anything like the max raids in the previous game, you might be able to farm shinies from them as well, because people would get shiny dens and spam them. Now, there's several new abilities coming with the game as well. The first one is Anger Shell, which we only know that Cloth has at the moment, who's a big crabby crab. And when his health reaches 50%, it basically activates Shell Smash, which is essentially a defense and special defense decrease for a attack, special attack, and speed increase. Now, if this thing is using, well, if it's able to use Shell Smash and it's using a Focus Sash, oh my god, is this thing going to destroy? Especially if it gets priority removes. The thing's potentially horrifying. The next one is Armortail, which is known by the Girafarig evolution, which I can't pronounce. And what it does, it's called Armortail, and it stops priority moves. Again, pretty powerful ability. I can see lots of uses for that. Then we have Cudchew, which is, again, another ability of the evolution of Girafarig, and it activates when the Pokemon eats a berry. This allows it to get an additional use of the berry in the next turn. So essentially it has a 2-turn usable berry. Now, if you can get Recycle on this Pokemon, and it might not be able to get it because of the new generation, I don't even know if it can get it as it is, that has an extra amount of uses. This could be I'm looking forward to it. Cudchew is the one that I'm actually more interested in than Armortail, but we'll see how that works. Then we have Bellybolt's ability, Electromorphosis, which allows introduced alongside Bellybolt. The ability means that the Pokemon's next electric type move gets a boost after it's been hit. So the way this should work is you make Bellybolt as slow as possible, let it take a hit, make it tanky as crap, and then make it hit back with a powerful electric attack. So it's an interesting prospect. There is interesting things here, and I think this is going to be very interesting, especially if other Pokemon can get these abilities, especially if older Pokemon can get these abilities. Though I'm not sure that'll be the case yet, but we'll definitely see. Now, we have new items with this new game as well. The first one is Cover Cloak, which is Pokemon holding this item will become immune to the opposing move's additional effects. What this essentially means is the best way for me to describe it. Machamp with the ability No Guard is able to hit 100% accurate with any move. Then you combine that with Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch, when hit, confuses the opponent's Pokemon. No longer will this be the case. Cover Cloak will block that confusion effect, so you'll still get the damage. It'll still be a hard-hitting move, but you don't get the confuse, so people can't use that in battle to cheese you, in a sense. Obviously, you could always switch to a ghost Pokemon, but there's options. This is going to screw over a bunch of different other moves, and it's going to be interesting to see how people use it in battle. I've got a couple of ideas in my head at the moment. I'm not going to share them quite yet. Then we move on to our next item, Loaded Dice. Now, I'm going to say this right out. Pokemon with Technician are going to freaking slap with this thing. Like, literally, Technician, low damage moves increase their damage, then you're hitting with a higher amount of times. Oh my god. Seed... what is it called? The one that fires loads of seeds. Jesus Christ. Breloom is going to be awesome. Breloom is going to be awesome. Chinchino is going to be awesome. If Chinchino's in the game. I know I've seen Breloom. I'm almost 100% certain on that. But yeah, Technician is getting a freaking boost this gen. Then we have Mirror Herb, which allows the Pokemon to mirror all of the opponent's stat increases. So, yeah. Any Pokemon that typically would use Shell Smash is in trouble. Because you go Smell Smash, they swap in their freaking Pokemon with this herb. And then they get all the speed boost, stat boost, and everything. They smack you, and then destroy you. Yeah. It's gonna be fun. So some of the last things I want to go into is quality of life changes. So the first one is that the game has been given a day-night cycle. And this isn't tied to your Switch's clock or your current time in real life. So you're going to be able to essentially go through a full 24 hours in-game and not have to change the clock on the Switch, which is great. Next up, we have the TM machine. So you're going to actually be able to craft TMs using various items that you find throughout the game. This is going to stop us from doing all the monotonous, boring crap that usually you have to do in the game, and I'm very, very happy that we've got a TM machine. And then the last one is a photo mode. And photo modes aren't really my thing, but I know that is a big, big thing for a lot of people that enjoy taking photos in the game, and digital photography in games has become a massive thing in the past couple of years. So yeah, that's pretty much that. So the video is essentially over. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. If you'd like to support the channel further, you have our sponsor for today's video, HelloFresh. I'd heavily recommend them, and their food is absolutely spectacular. Me and the wife have gotten a box quite often, and we do enjoy it. We don't get it all the time, but we do definitely enjoy it. And either way, guys, I'll catch you next time, and hopefully we'll see you in Paldea. Thank you.